Welcome back. Now, the shocking statistics and a survey suggest that 1/3 of magistrates were threatened or harmed in the 2021-2022 year period, with some resorting to reporting that they've experienced such threats a couple of times. Now, the Democratic Governance Rights Unit, the DGRU at the University of Cape Town's Law Faculty, has released some findings of its second magistrates perception survey on their work conditions. Now, the survey sought to capture the nature of threats to magistrates by asking about actual harm or threats they've experienced between October of 2021 and October of 2022. Mbekezeli Benjamin, researcher at Judges Matter, joins us now for more on this. Mbekezeli, festive greetings to you. Thank you so much for joining us. 23% of magistrates say they were personally threatened or harmed once or twice because of their work. This is quite alarming.
Good evening, Alicia, and good evening to the viewers at home. Yes, it is a very alarming statistic because this is a threat or harm that is done to judicial officers. So people who should be presiding over cases in court. The research survey has found that some of them have indicated that they have been threatened or harmed due to their role. Now, just to take a step back, the Magistrates Perception Survey that was done by the DGRU, this is the second time that it's been done. The first one came out in 2020, and the results of that survey found that 43% of the respondents indicated that they were threatened or harmed due to their role as magistrates. The second one was done last year, and it will actually be launched at the end of January, and the initial findings for now are that about 23% of the 230 respondents indicated that they've been threatened, and some of them have been threatened a few times, not just once. So it is an alarming statistic.
Mbekezeli, how does this then impact on magistrates meeting out their duties accordingly in a fair manner, but also being safe from harm as well as threats?
Well, it is extremely concerning. You can imagine that if, for example, you are a magistrate who had to preside over a bail application by a well-known criminal, you'll be fearful of delivering a judgment that may go against that person because you fear that you might be harmed. And in fact, we have gone to the Magistrates Commission in Pretoria and sat in some of the interviews. There have been, in each of the rounds that we've sat in since 2019, we consistently see magistrates asking for transfers. A lot of the requests for transfers relate to medical reasons, but a number of them, and it's really going up over the years, a number of them relate to safety. Recently, there was one magistrate who was based in a small town in the Western Cape who wanted to be transferred to another town because they and their family were threatened due to their role as a magistrate. So it is concerning, and it is actually a threat to the independence of the judiciary.
Absolutely a threat, Mbekezeli. So apparently some of these complaints even end up at the Magistrates Commission, yet we hardly ever hear about them. Why do you think this is kept on the down low, so to speak, Mbekezeli?
Well, look, I don't think it's intentionally kept on the down low, and that is part of what the Democratic Governance and Rights Unit is trying to show with this research, is that it is a pattern. It's not just isolated cases. It is actually evidence that shows that there are magistrates who are being harmed or threatened due to their role. And just to explain a little bit about the research that the DGRU did, they did a survey of about 230 magistrates, which is about, statistically, that is a representative sample of all the magistrates in the country. And what they were trying to do with the survey, they were trying to look at issues such as safety, yes, but they were also looking at things like court infrastructure, the working conditions, the kind of workloads that they carry. And the ultimate question that the DGRU was trying to answer is, what is the quality of the justice, and how do these factors affect the quality of the justice? And if we look at the safety issue alone, there is reason for us to be worried.
Absolutely. And Mbekezeli, the survey also found that the Limpopo province was one that had the highest number of threats, and that it is mostly civil cases that magistrates are threatened under. Talk to us about this pattern.
So yeah, there are some really disturbing trends that we saw from the survey. Yes, Limpopo is quite high, but the Western Cape actually has higher number of respondents who are saying that they were threatened or they were threatened based on their role as magistrates. The Western Cape, the number is about 39% of the respondents, which means that if you look at the national picture, there seems to be quite a concentrated number of threats in that province. Unfortunately, we don't know the details of some of the threats because the survey really asked whether the person was threatened and where they were threatened. And often it is either they were threatened in the court precinct, so at the parking lot. Some indicated that they were threatened inside the court building, so in the corridors. But luckily, there were very few who indicated that in the actual courtroom they were threatened. But what the picture does show is that there needs to be more safety measures that are put in place in and around courts to not only protect the magistrates, who's the presiding officer, but also the other people around the courts. Because, if you're a witness and you have to testify against someone who is a criminal, then you will also experience the same threats or harm that the magistrates indicate. So there should be more safety measures that are put in place by the Department of Justice in and around court buildings.
And just to expand on the Western Cape, Mbekezeli, I know it was mostly drug-related cases right there. If, of course, a magistrate is presiding over drug-related cases. But this then begs the question that we started with again, that justice is not going to be meted out in a fair and just manner because these judges are basically fearing for their lives.
Absolutely, and that is actually the real issue in this, is that suddenly what we will find is that depending on how many guns you have or how many nkabi that you can buy, then you will get a different kind of quality of justice. So what will happen is that people who know that they've committed serious crimes, all they need to do is to buy assassins or to buy killers or threaten the magistrate, and they know that their case will go away. And we don't want a situation like that. And so that's why this research is so important. That is why the DGRU is bringing attention to this. And like I said, the official launch of the research report will be at the end of January in 2024. But what we are already seeing is that there is a concern around safety. Of course, the survey also touches on issues like court infrastructure and work-related stress, because another thing that we see is that magistrates are saying they have a very heavy workload. They're not provided with the tools in order to enable them to do their job. And there's a lot of pressure. And so that means the stress that they are under means that the quality of justice that they will deliver ultimately will be under question. And that is also something we need to be concerned about.
Absolutely. Mbekezeli, thank you so much for your contributions there. Mbekezeli Benjamin, Judges Matter researcher on threats to magistrates and judges because of the work that they do.